Welcome to another episode of Discover St. Cloud, Florida. I'm Kristen McCary, and I'm here with your host,
Janine Corcoran, broker for the Corcoran Connection, a real estate company.
And it's that time of the month again, folks. And we are going to talk about what happened in the real estate market in February of 2022. So what kind of news do you have for us? Is it a little bit of the same that we've been dealing with? Or
Well, you know, it's interesting to compare 2022 to 2021. It's almost like we should go back to 1918. But anyway, you usually do it year by year. But so there were 30 sold in the month of February for 2022. Last 2021 in February, there were 49.
And is that a certain zip code? Because that can't be all of St. Cloud.
Yeah, sorry. So I did separate by zip code. 34769. I figured I'd start with that. So
Right.
that's your downtown area, lakeside,
Right.
Yeah, it crosses over on 13th Street, which is 192, but, you know, that whole main part of St. Cloud that we're talking about. The average price per square foot this year was $204.36, and last year it was $170.60, so I should round everything up, $171 versus $204.
Right. That's $33
Oh, did you
a
do
square
that in your
foot.
head?
I did.
Pretty
I didn't do a
good. Great to be
calculator.
young. Great to be young. So yeah, for this year, there were basically 26 of those properties were single stories, and 4 of them were 2 stories. Because you have a lot of the old. It's a mix
Right.
with the whole downtown area. You know what I mean? But most of the houses there, you don't see too many 2 stories.
No, not at all.
Yeah, so that seems about norm for me. Now, if you move to 34771, which is going down Narcousie Road, and that is probably the busiest zip code,
Right.
as far as sales. This year, 33 properties sold. Last year, 104.
Wow. So you're talking a significant decrease in the number of sales, but I don't think that correlates to, homes sitting on the market longer. I just don't think that
No.
anything's being listed to be sold.
It's just there's no inventory.
Right,
Yeah,
no
definitely.
inventory.
Yeah, well, less than a month.
Right.
Yeah, I've never, in all my years of being in business since 2005, I've never been in a market where you had less than a month inventory,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So for all of you that don't know or realize, a healthy market is usually about 6 months. You could even say probably 5 months.
Right.
I know Barbara always says 6 months, so maybe, now it seems like maybe 4 months would be healthy.
I was going to say 3 to 6 months seems like a big bit.
I know. Isn't that
Wow.
interesting?
Yeah.
But anyway, so price per square foot, 202.43. So, just rounded to 202 compared to 157 last year.
Wow. Okay. So 202 to 157, that's $45 a square foot.
Very good. We
Must-
have the math genius over here.
Must have had my coffee this morning.
Yeah.
I don't have those notes, by the way.
The highest one that sold was actually on 3203 Misty Morn. It sold for $680,000. It was listed for $695. Sold for $680, but it was almost an acre of land.
Right. And was that the one that was on the canal
Yeah,
that connects
that
to
was
Lake AJ?
Yeah, and it had a pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was built in 1991, but that one was the highest one that sold, which is pretty good. Then let's move up to 34772 for you folks that live in that zip code. We had 59 properties that sold. Last year, there were 85. Do the math.
That's a lot different. Okay, so 85 to 59, that's 26.
I don't know.
Please don't check me that.
I'm not checking your math. I'm not checking your
26.
math.
That sounds like that's like almost a quarter of a difference.
Yeah, price per square foot this year, 201 versus 154.
That math checks out, just knowing what I've seen. And so it's very interesting. Over the summer, I sold, at the time, it was the highest sold price per square foot house in Esprit. Okay.
Same zip code.
34772. And so I usually, when we have a property listed for sale, I like to keep myself on an email drip to kind of see what comes listed, what's pending, what's sold, that sort of thing. So I've been watching it. That same house, literally, we closed at the top of the top line. They paid the difference in appraisal. It was at 320. They're selling the exact same house now for like 390 something. And we're talking, what was June? 9 months ago? Like,
That's interesting. So it just made me think of something. This wasn't planned, but if you have purchased a home in the past year and you are paying PMI insurance, now is a good time to call your lender and try to get that PMI off. So I had my daughter who bought the end of April in St. Cloud. It was actually Harmony. And she's already called the lender. And the good news, and I don't know if this is true for all lenders, but the good news for her is like they do order an appraisal, but they charge her $100, which is great.
Right. I'll pay $100 to get PMI taken off. Are you kidding me?
Right. So they come out and so for those folks who don't understand, if you have PMI, that meant when you put down your down payment, you put less than 20%. In order to not have PMI, you have to put down 20%. So that means, you're financing 80%. She hadn't, I don't know what she put down, 5% or something like that. But her value of a house, she has so much equity now that should wipe that out. There's no rule. I've never seen a rule in closing papers that says,
you have to have it for a certain amount of time.
yeah, you have to have it for a certain amount of time. It just says, when you reach, the point of, and they'll either do it, they will do it by your payments, just however long that takes, which is a long time.
Right.
But
Right.
you can actually be proactive and just call up and say, I would like to find out how I can get my PMI removed off of my loan because the value of my house has gone up. And then just find out the process,
Right.
Because take advantage of this market now to get that removed.
Right.
And that'll it can make a couple $100 in
Right. It depends on what kind of loan you have and how little you put down, et cetera. Like the calculations. I mean, you could be saving several $100s a month on PMI.
Right.
Which is great. Who couldn't use the extra money right now?
I know, with the inflation, maybe they'll make up the difference.
Right. Exactly.
So it's not a short process, not like just calling up and doing that. And like for Lauren, I just said, let me know when the appraisal's coming because I'm going to run a list of comps for you,
Right.
to help prove your
Your
value,
equity,
your
yeah.
value. So, if anyone needs help like that, happy to do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you, if your appraisal's coming out and you're worried that they might, you're on the borderline, it's we do this all the time. So
Absolutely.
happy to help.
Absolutely. And that's a, great thing
You
you
should
don't
do a
think
post
about.
that.
You
Post
should.
about
PMI, removing
Yeah.
PMI. I think you should.
Time to remove PMI.
It is. It is. If
Call me so I could tell you how.
Right. That's because
Yeah,
that's
I never thought about
a
that,
huge
so.
difference in people's monthly payments
It's
and
huge. Especially
monthly cash
inflation.
flow.
I mean,
Yeah.
how much is milk costing these days?
I don't know about milk. I haven't paid attention to milk so much,
Well,
but I
gas.
definitely feel like, okay, so I'm a terrible shopper. I'm not allowed to go shopping really. My husband says he's got to do the shopping because he looks for the deals and he's very frugal. I go in, I swear I'm hungry every time and I buy the whole store. But my whole store trips have gone from if I go to Walmart and I get, big haul of stuff, I used to spend maybe $200 in a trip and now I'm pushing $300 and I'm like, that's a big jump. So now I'm trying to be better, but I'm not very good.
So did anyone know, am I the only last person on this earth to find out about Publix that they give, it's once a month usually. They have a coupon for gas. If you spend $50, you get $10. It's
gas card or
gas
something?
card or something like that. But you have to spend $50 in groceries in order to take advantage of this, and you can't like I get the Publix app just to look at the buy one get ones to see if anything's on there that I actually eat or use, and so it's always on that first page of the flyer. You actually have to have the paper flyer. So you can print it out from your phone, or you can just look on the front page. It's always there. I had one of my sellers tell me about it, and I was like, how did I not know about this? Especially with gas prices these days, to get an extra 10 off. Right. And so basically what happens is when you use the coupon, you get to pick what gas station. So you can do Wawa,
Right.
7-Eleven, whatever.
Right.
So.
That's interesting. No, I actually heard that from you when you told
Oh,
the
you didn't
family
know
you were
about it?
so excited about it. You
I
told
was
us
so
about
excited. Isn't that silly? It's not silly, saving
not silly.
$10 because I think of Lauren or people driving downtown. They got these big trucks, and
I know.
how much. I think she said was it like $85 or something.
I don't know,
'Cause
but
I'm 60 on my SUV. So what are you?
I don't know, but I laugh at you guys. I'm in my little 4-cylinder car, filling up for $40 or less.
Oh yeah, no, not me.
Getting 400 miles to the tank. Listen, Tesla's next, but with the way, I'm sure it's only a matter of time before the electricity goes up, and so it's all going to be a wash anyway. So
they give you a $50 gas card for $40. That's what the savings is.
gotcha.
You
You can
know,
buy a $50 gas card
for $40.
for $40
if you spend $50 at Publix.
which isn't hard because
No.
sometimes I go in there to pick up lunch meat and bread, and I come out and it's $50, and I'm like,
So it was last week, by the way. I missed
was
it.
Darn.
I know. And somehow, like, it was a 1 week I didn't look at the app. And then my sister texted me and texted me a picture of it and said, it's gas card week. I
Right.
was like, oh my gosh.
Oh man.
So she knew about it. She
Yeah.
knew about it.
So it
but
sounds like it might be the beginning of the month.
maybe because they do it once a month. So
Right.
maybe.
Might
Oh
be.
yeah, because that was maybe it's the first week. So
Right.
so be on the lookout because when I found out, I had no idea.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And
I
as a
thought-
realtor, you drive a lot. So-
Yeah, I mean anyone that's working. I mean,
Right.
$10 is hey, if you're filling up your tank once a week, and I think you can buy more than one,
Right.
but then you have to spend another $50. So if you
Well,
go to
that's
Publix
easy.
and you spend $150, then you can buy 3 of them,
Right.
and then you save $30. I guess that's
That's a good
$30
savings.
times 12.
Right.
10, 300.
360.
360. I have to do it by 10.
I see that.
Anyway, onward.
Onward to the.
what
to
did we
the-
do? 34772 was the
Yep.
last
You
one?
just finished the.
Yeah, and then we have 34773. Most of the sales there took place in Harmony West. Harmony, nothing in Hollowport for the month of February. We had 11 sold this year. We had 14 sold last year. This year's price per square foot is 186.55. Last year was 142.45.
Wow.
So it's pretty consistent.
Yep.
Pretty consistent. The highest house that sold was 2965 Hooded Crane, which is in Harmony West, 4.3, 21, just a little over 2,100 square feet, and it came to like 226, like almost 227
A square foot.
a
Wow.
square foot. So, and that one sold for 476, 990. Yeah.
Wow. That's
Do we have
great.
anything on land?
So let's see. In land, we had a couple of lots in suburban estates sell. That's kind of on our lower end. The highest one that sold was for $285, and it was
That is 2021 and 2022.
2021. Oh, just kidding. Sorry, I have them backwards. Thank you for saying that. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Okay, so 2022 numbers. See, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sold. The highest priced one here was a big difference at $4 million. It's 18.6 acres, and it's off of 192. Yeah. That's out by us, right? Isn't
Yeah.
this that particular property? I feel like I remember seeing about that. We also had another 4.7 acres sold on Midland Drive. It was for $60,000, so that's kind of nice. That's a pretty decent. Wonder how much of that is buildable. Curious. And then the second highest sold was on 5190 Moore Street. It was $230,000 for 5.7 acres. So big spread, but some smaller ones like down in Suburban Estates or Hollowpaw Groves that sold.
Yeah, a
but-
lot of those are recreational. You can't
Right.
even build on it. So you know,
Right,
you have
it's
to
a
be
hunting
careful.
camp type
Yeah.
thing.
And when it comes to land, for those buyers that are interested out there, and I've been keeping a watch on all different kinds of land too. It's always good to call the county, and we actually do that for we'll call the county for our buyers, but we make our buyers call the county too.
Right.
And I tell all of our realtors that work under us you don't rely on what the MLS is saying or the other agent put out, because I just find that a lot of the information is not accurate on land, and that's
Right.
really important to make sure before you purchase,
Right.
what you can build there, and how much is high and dry, how much is buildable,
Right.
Can you build? Can you not build? You know what I
Right.
mean? It's just there's a lot. Just to be just a lot of due diligence.
There is a lot of due diligence, and I feel like that's the next thing. I mean, for me in particular, my thought is, finally closing on this house, and then looking into purchasing land, because that's the one thing you can't make more of.
Yep, can't make more of land, and
So,
it's disappearing.
it is.
Everyone knows.
So, if you can get your hands on a piece of property that's buildable, potentially subdividable in the future, etc., I think that that's definitely a great thing to do. But there's not much of it out there for sale that's usable like that right now. So.
No, and we've been keeping an eye on Lake County, because we're trying to look, kind of central Florida, to see like the housing prices have gone up everywhere in comparable to whatever that house price was the year before, but there's still some affordable land in Lake County.
Right.
I
I feel like that's the next Lake Nona.
It's
St.
going to be the
Cloud,
next area that blows up.
Yeah.
I don't know when that's going to happen.
Right.
But there's still a lot of land there, so there's land to be
And it's beautiful up there.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. So
Because they have like, hills. From those of you that aren't from Florida, like those are hills, okay? I don't care what you say. I don't care that they're like basically ant hills where you came from. They're hills to us if you have to go on an incline.
I remember one time when your brother was little and we had an incline on the driveway, and I was talking to my sister from New Jersey, and I said something about, and then he went down the hill, and she's like, "Where's the hill?" And it's like, "The driveway." She's like, "That's your hill? Like, come on."
Hey, and in your defense, that driveway was very steep. I do remember that.
Yes.
Like it was pretty steep. If you put rollerblades on or something, you could go flying.
Right. And then it had a boom.
Yeah,
right.
it did.
It had before they built the driveways where they put the drain under it.
Right.
It was one of those ones that hit and then went
Right,
up. Yeah,
right.
I remember that.
That's so funny. So yeah, that's great. I mean, so anyway, Lake County's beautiful area. Probably going to be the next one to kind of be developed and stuff out there. So that's great info. And like I said, we're still running on a very low inventory, less than a month's supply. So I don't know, for those buyers that are out there that are trying to find something, hang tight.
It's challenging for the buyers.
It
We
is.
talked about this before last month. It's very challenging for the buyer. My heart goes out to the first-time home buyers. But know that we talked about this just recently, that asking a seller for closing costs, if you're that buyer and needs that's not happening these days. Bill's working with a buyer, or is still working, getting ready to close. A VA buyer, but they need help with closing costs, and it just contract after contract after contract. It's like we cannot do that.
Right.
You can't. So he ended up switching lenders because his lender couldn't help him out. We put him with a great lender, and he was able to put his closing costs in. So if you are that first-time home buyer, but you're just only have a certain amount to put down, but then you can't. You don't have enough for the closing costs. You can't ask the seller. I mean, you could ask all day long, but I think I don't know. I couldn't tell you how many contracts he's written. So,
Right.
So we finally got where the lender basically rolled it in, and we didn't have to ask the seller for closing costs, and he was able to get one. It took quite a few deals, and sometimes, sometimes we do know what we're talking about, and sometimes the buyers just have to, I guess, process that.
Right.
Because
Right.
they have an idea of what they think should happen, but sometimes what they're telling us is a completely different market. It's like that market that's not happening.
Right. Well, it reminds me of like early 2019, 2020, when people were like, yeah, I'm going to negotiate and get a really good deal. And I'm like, in what market are you living? 'Cause
Right,
even
right,
then,
right.
like it was getting more and more competitive. So like now it's like, oh, honey, if that's the list price, you better be thinking about how you're going to go over
Right,
it,
right.
and that's, so it's definitely a different market. And so definitely work with a realtor that knows the market and can kind of educate you through the process. That's great.
Just listen to your realtor, because they should know what's going on.
Right.
And I have a buyer that working with now that, we're in the process of it, and they came in with their own lender. And one of the first things that they had said to me, well, when I was talking to her, she said that we could ask the seller for closing costs. And I thought, oh, heaven help me. Like, where is this mortgage person? Does she
Right.
not know what's going on? You know what I
Right.
mean? And she was local, and I was like,
What market are you in, lady? No.
exactly. And you know what? Hey, I respect they come in with their own mortgage. I would never, take them away. But again, at some point, I just said to the buyer, I said, that's not happening.
Right.
Not in this market.
Right.
You can go to a new build and you can probably still get closing costs.
Right.
But then you're waiting a year to build, and you're waiting a year
Right.
for your house.
Right.
So, but yeah. So as things change, we always try to educate the buyers what's going on, and aggressive with the offers. And I closed a VA last month, a VA buyer last month. Bill has a VA buyer. So we are, they are getting deals, but it's challenging for them.
It is.
Challenging.
It's a challenging market. So hang in there, hang tight. It'll get better eventually. It's got to get better eventually.
And if
No.
you're a seller,
Oh,
this is,
boy, if you've purchased, 2 years or more ago.
and why do you
can
say 2
avoid-
years or more?
For capital gains taxes, to avoid that, having to pay those taxes on that, income that you've earned. So if you're at that 2-year mark and you're ready to move on to the next, wherever you're being led to go, and you have somewhere to go, because that's important.
And you can sell before 2 years, but just
Right.
know that you're going to have capital gains tax.
Right.
I went on a listing appointment, against I don't know how many other agents, and they were probably 4 months away from their 2-year mark, and not one agent told them that. I
Right.
walked in, I said, well, you don't want to sell until you hit your 2 years. And they were like, why? And I was like, because you're going to pay capital gain tax. I mean, I'm not a CPA and
Right.
an accountant. I was like, check with them. But last I heard, that hasn't changed.
Right.
You know
That
what I
part
mean?
hasn't changed. So,
Yeah.
talk to your
so-
accountant, your CPA, find out what they say. But I would definitely recommend, waiting that 2-year mark so you don't get hit with some.
And you can list your house before the 2-year mark. What we did, and I've had 2 or 3 houses like this already. It's just basically we put in the remarks that seller can't close before, and then put that 2-year mark, and literally we closed on both the day after the 2-year mark,
Right.
just to be safe.
Right.
Just
Right.
to
Exactly.
be safe.
Nobody wants an unfair tax,
No.
burden. So anyway, so if you've got a home to sell, and we'd be happy to come out and give you an estimate on your home, what we think you can get for it. You might be very surprised. This market is nuts, and of course, the buyers out there will be very grateful because there'd finally be a little bit of inventory.
Yes, and just from last year went up 20%. So
Yep. That's crazy. All right. Well, so that's it for this episode. Now, we do have a special guest coming up. This is your very last chance.
Yes.
If you have a question that you want to ask Barbara Corcoran, Shark Tank, superstar, sister of Janine, go ahead and email us your question, discoverstcloudflorida@gmail.com. We'll put that in the description below so that you can email us your questions for us, for
questions
her.
that are coming in are good.
Yeah, they are. They are. So we're not going to give anything away, but we want some more questions. We want to see what
And
you
I'm
want.
sure not every, no way we can get every question,
Right.
but send in the questions.
Right.
Yours might be better than someone else's. We might want to use yours.
And so we thank you for joining us again for another episode of Discover St. Cloud, Florida. You can find us on all your favorite platforms for listening to podcasts, and on YouTube. We have our videos taken every time that we do these. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you in the next episode.